Okay, what if you could scale your business so fast it felt like you literally found a cheat code? Well, that's the core idea from entrepreneur Dan Martell. He built and sold three multi-million-dollar companies by mastering a playbook for just insane growth. So let's dive in and break down his exact strategies. And this quote right here, it just sets the stage perfectly. We're not talking about slow, steady growth. No, we're talking about building a machine that operates at a speed that feels almost unfair to the competition. Martell even scaled one company to 2 million bucks a month in under 18 months. So, how in the world do you do it? Well, it all starts with a foundation. The very first part of this playbook is all about mastering your money. And you've got to forget all the complex growth hacks for a second, because rapid, sustainable growth, it's completely impossible if you don't have control over your cash flow and your sales process. This is where the engine gets its fuel. The message here is so simple, but so many people get it wrong. Stop trying to make everything perfect and just start selling. Martell says you officially become an entrepreneur the moment you sell something to a complete stranger. The absolute key is getting cash in the door up front before you spend a dime delivering the service. And this slide just brilliantly shows why that upfront cash matters so much. There is a huge difference between revenue and actual cash in the bank. Revenue, or receivables, those are just promises. Cash is what you can actually use to pay your team, your rent, your bills. You cannot pay people with invoices. And honestly, that simple distinction is what separates businesses that struggle from those that truly scale. So how do you get people to give you their cash? Simple. You make an offer so good they feel dumb saying no. First, focus on the transformation, the problem you solve, not just a long list of features. Then you add urgency and scarcity. Maybe you only take on a few clients a month to keep it personalized. And finally, you reverse the risk. Offer a refund if they do the work and don't get the results. Now, I know that sounds scary, but it leads to way higher close rates and lets you charge those premium prices. All right, let's move on to part 2. Once the cash is flowing, you have to stop relying on just, one-off efforts and hustle. It's time to build the actual machine, creating systems that make your growth predictable and repeatable. Most entrepreneurs have a marketing plan. And what's a plan really? It's basically a hope. Martell says you need a marketing system, something that actually engineers growth. And a funny thing he's noticed is that founders often feel guilty when things are working well and will unconsciously sabotage it. A predictable system gets rid of that guilt and just lets the machine run. And here's exactly how you build that system. It's called the camcorder method, and it's brilliant. First, just record yourself doing something that generates leads. Second, document the steps from that video into a simple guide. Third, set a clear schedule for when these actions happen. And finally, create a daily checklist of the 7 to 10 things that guarantee a result. That's it. Now anyone can run your marketing playbook. So once you have these systems, you've got to free up your own time to work on the business, not just in it. And this is where the buyback rate comes in. It's the hourly rate you can pay someone else to do a task, freeing you up for higher value work. Let's break down how you find yours. Okay, to figure out what to delegate, you have to do a time audit. For 2 weeks, track everything you do in 15-minute blocks. And be honest, if you spent 3 hours on TikTok, you gotta write it down. Then, highlight everything that just drains your energy in red. Once you've calculated your buyback rate, you delegate every single task that costs less per hour than that rate. No exceptions. And this number right here, this is the goal. If you want to make $1 million a year, you need to be doing $500 an hour activities. Look, there are about 2,000 working hours in a year. At $500 an hour, that's your $1 million income. If you're spending your time on $10 tasks, it's costing you the difference. And that's why you haven't built that $1 million business yet. Now, to keep the machine running fast, you have to empower your team to crush bottlenecks. Martell uses this awesome rule he learned from Elon Musk called 50 to fix it. Any employee can spend up to $50 to solve a problem without asking for permission. Leaders can spend $500, managers $5,000, and so on. This keeps things moving and unblocks constraints instantly. All right, so with cash flowing and systems in place, you finally hit the third and most powerful stage of growth, scaling through people. This is how you truly multiply your impact and achieve a level of leverage that, feels like cheating. And the very first step is to replace yourself. Specifically, you hire an executive assistant to take over your email and your calendar. Think about it. Your email is just a public to-do list from other people, And your calendar shouldn't need your direct input. Doing this one thing alone can buy back 10 to 15 hours a week, which you can immediately reinvest into high-value growth activities. So many founders are scared to invest in their people. They ask, well, what if I train them and then they leave? But the more terrifying question, really, is this one. What if you don't train them and they stay? An undeveloped team is going to hold you back far more than the risk of one person leaving. So you need a strategic hiring plan. First, design the org chart for the company you want to have in 12 months. This is going to show you all the gaps. Then, you sequence your hires based on a really simple question. Who is going to buy back my time the fastest? That's how you build the team that will then go on to scale the business for you. You know, one of the biggest limiting beliefs for founders is nobody else can sell like me. This is a trap. It's an ego trap that keeps you as the primary bottleneck in your own business. It is simply not true, and you have to get over it if you want to truly scale. So here's how you systematize sales. First, script out answers to every common question and objection into what are called talk tracks. Second, record your winning sales calls so new hires can see exactly what success looks like. And third, hire on commission. Pay them enough to cover their expenses, but incentivize them to earn big by closing deals. More closers means more sales, without you having to work any more hours. Finally, with the entire growth engine running, you got the money, the systems, and the people, the founder's role shifts one last time. Your job now is to protect that engine by protecting your own energy and focus. You need to stay in what's called your zone of genius, which really just consists of three things. Vision, seeing what's next for the business. Money, making sure the company has the capital it needs. And people, attracting and developing top talent. That's it. When you're doing what feels easy to you but looks like work to others, that's when you know you've won. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question from Martel. If you're not where you want to be, it's because parts of this engine are missing. So ask yourself, what would the 10x version of me do today? The answer to that question, that's your next step. I really hope this breakdown gives you a clear playbook for some absolutely explosive growth. If you want to keep learning how to build your business from the ground up, make sure to check out the Build from Zero channel for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching.